I don't think anything could have prepared me for the day my husband exposed me in front of my entire family during my father's funeral. The very day I should have been mourning one of the most important men in my life became the day my entire world collapsed. I've been sitting with the weight of it for weeks now, trying to make sense of how I got here. But no matter how many times I replay it, I can't undo what I've done. My husband, Mark, and I had been married for 7 years. We weren't perfect, but we were stable. We had a little boy who was 4, and on the surface we looked like the family you'd see smiling in Christmas cards. Mark was solid, dependable, the kind of man who'd show up for you no matter what. He adored my dad, respected him deeply, and in a lot of ways he became a son my father had always wanted. But while Mark was everything dependable, I let myself believe it wasn't enough. I let myself drift into an affair with someone I worked with. His name was Derek, and he was charismatic, bold, the kind of man who knew exactly how to make a woman feel noticed. It started with harmless flirting at work, turned into after-hours drinks, and spiraled into something physical before I even realized how deep I was. For months, I convinced myself I was balancing it, that I was still a good wife, a good mom, that no one was getting hurt because no one knew. Except Mark knew. Or at least he suspected. He's not stupid, and I wasn't nearly as discreet as I thought. The late nights, the sudden protectiveness over my phone, the way I seemed distracted at home. It was all there. What I didn't realize was that while I thought I was covering my tracks, Mark was quietly piecing it all together. Then my dad died suddenly from a heart attack. It devastated me. My dad was the kind of man who anchored our entire family. He was larger than life, always telling stories, always making people laugh, always the one you wanted in your corner. Losing him felt like losing the ground beneath my feet. The funeral was scheduled within a week, and it became the focal point of everything. That day was already heavy. The church was packed with family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, everyone whose lives my dad had touched. My mom was a wreck, my siblings were barely holding it together, and I was trying to juggle being a grieving daughter, a supportive wife, and a mom to a little boy who didn't fully understand why everyone was crying. The service itself went as expected. Stories about my dad, hymns, people crying, people laughing softly at the funny memories. I was sitting in the front row with Mark beside me, holding my hand. I remember thinking, even in my grief, that I didn't deserve his steadiness. That I had betrayed the man who was sitting right there, offering me strength while I was sneaking around behind his back. But nothing prepared me for what happened at the reception afterward. The church hall was filled with food, people milling around sharing stories, the kind of post-funeral gathering where you're supposed to find comfort in community. My entire extended family was there, friends of my dad's from decades back, neighbors who had known me since childhood, my mom, my siblings, my cousins. And in the middle of all of it, Mark decided he couldn't keep quiet anymore. He stood up, raised his glass like he was about to give some kind of toast, and for a moment people quieted down, expecting something heartfelt about my dad. Instead, his voice rang out steady and clear, cutting through the chatter. "I want to say something today," he began. "First, about the man we're here to honor. Your dad was like a father to me, too. He treated me with respect, welcomed me into this family, and set an example of what a man should be. He deserved honesty, integrity, and loyalty. Unfortunately, those aren't qualities his daughter, my wife, seems to value." The room froze. Every head turned toward him and then toward me. My stomach dropped, my heart hammering so hard I thought I might faint. Mark went on, his voice still calm, almost too calm. "For months, Sarah has been having an affair with a man from her work. His name is Derek. I've seen the messages, I've seen the pictures, I've seen everything. While I was taking care of our son, while I was supporting her, while her father was in and out of the hospital with heart problems, she was sneaking around behind my back. I kept it to myself because I didn't want to make things harder on this family while you were already dealing with so much. But today, standing here in front of the people who knew and loved your father, I can't pretend anymore. He deserved better from a daughter, and I deserve better from a wife." You could have heard a pin drop. The weight of his words hung in the air like smoke after an explosion. My mom gasped audibly, clutching at her chest. My brother muttered, "What the hell?" under his breath. My sister shook her head in disbelief. And I just sat there, frozen, my face burning, every eye on me like a spotlight I couldn't escape. I tried to speak, but my throat closed up. Tears started streaming down my face, but no words came out. What could I even say? That I was sorry? That it was a mistake? That I didn't mean to? None of it would matter. Not with my entire family staring at me like I'd just committed the ultimate betrayal. Not just of my husband, but of my father's memory on the very day we buried him. Mark didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just set his glass down, put his arm around our son, and said, "We're done." Then he walked out. Just like that. Left me sitting there, humiliated, broken, exposed in front of everyone who mattered to me. The reception unraveled after that. People whispered in corners. My siblings avoided me. My mom refused to look at me, her grief compounded by shame. Relatives shook their heads. Friends gave me side eyes. The room that should have been filled with stories about my dad became a stage for my disgrace. In the days that followed, everything fell apart. Mark moved out immediately, taking our son with him. He filed for divorce within a week, armed with the evidence he'd been collecting. He had the upper hand in every way. Custody, the house, support. He got it all. My family didn't defend me. They couldn't. They were too disgusted, too disappointed, too brokenhearted. Derek, the man I'd risked everything for, vanished the second the truth came out. He blocked me on everything, cut off all contact, left me to deal with the fallout alone. I was nothing more to him than a fling, a distraction. When things got real, he didn't care enough to even check if I was okay. Meanwhile, Mark has been thriving. It kills me to admit it, but he looks better than ever. He's been spending more time with our son, posting pictures of them at the park, smiling brighter than I've seen in years. He looks free, happy, lighter. People comment on how strong he is, how much they admire him. My own family praises him when I'm not around, saying he's a great father, a good man who deserved better. And they're right. He did. I, on the other hand, am a pariah. My family barely speaks to me. My siblings only interact when necessary. My mom looks at me with a mix of pity and disgust. Friends have dropped me. At work, rumors spread, and though no one has said anything to my face, I can feel the judgment in every sideways glance. But the worst part isn't the gossip or the judgment or even the divorce. The worst part is the emptiness. I lost my father, and in the same breath, I lost my husband, my family's respect, and my own sense of who I am. I sit in my small apartment at night, staring at old pictures, wondering how I let it all slip away for something so meaningless. I thought I was chasing excitement. What I caught was ruin. I thought I was balancing it all, that no one would know, that I could keep my husband's loyalty and my family's love while sneaking off to play with fire. But the truth always comes out. And when it does, it doesn't just burn you. It burns everything in its path. Mark is happier now. Our son is thriving with him. My family admires him more than ever. And me? I'm the cautionary tale. The daughter who dishonored her father's memory. The wife who threw away a good man. The mother who broke her family apart. I don't know if I'll ever recover from the shame, but I know this much. If you're ever tempted to do what I did, don't. The thrill isn't worth the destruction. The excitement fades. The regret lasts forever. And you might just find yourself sitting at your father's funeral, not only mourning him, but watching your entire life collapse around you in the same breath.